My biggest lesson is to stop procrastinating. What's that meme? It's like procrastinators unite tomorrow. That's kind of, for me, procrastination is something that I've used as a tool, but I work very well under pressure, something that I kind of modified from Dave Ramsey, a financial guru. He does something called the debt snowball. And one of the things that I kind of adapted and teach people through networking and business development is the time management snowball. I tell people to write down every single thing that you have on your to-do list. Next to it, minutes that you estimate that it's going to take, and always overestimate. And then order your list by smallest to largest and just take a few hours and just start knocking out those little things. And then all of a sudden you have 15 things off your to-do list and you have more time to get the bigger projects done. Procrastination, time management, and really just learning how to set a plan and set your goal and really kind of, implement it, because we all have a lot of really good ideas, but until you put that plan into action, it's not going to go anywhere.
So true. Welcome to Business Insights with Matt Milia. I'm your host, Matt Milia, and in this podcast, we'll talk about the real, raw, uncut business success secrets you won't find anywhere else. Follow my journey from entry level to CEO. We discuss real actionable items you can plug into your business right away. To subscribe to our weekly top tips, you can go to www.mattpodcast.com and join our community of elite high-level performers. And if you're interested in our inside sales company, you can go to www.appointmentstoday.com to jump on a free strategy call. And now, stay tuned for our podcast. What is up, everybody? Happy New Year to everybody. I am here with the owner of Aligned Health, and actually, Chief Operating Officer.
Part owner.
Yes, there you go. So all the above. But this was actually the way that I had met Maria. We had actually sponsored this event together. I am this crazy symbol right here that doesn't have my name underneath there, but that's all right. And then Stephanie Milia Photography. So awesome. I am super pumped to have you on because you pretty much have been able to accomplish a lot of things I have trouble accomplishing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But for everyone who doesn't know who you are, Maria, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Well, you've accomplished something that I haven't, because I still want to have a podcast and I still don't. So kudos to you on that. Thanks for having me. My name is Mae Jeancola, mom of 3, competitive bodybuilder, business owner, entrepreneur. I like to do a lot of things in a very small amount of time. I like to challenge myself. Today I was looking at this whole end of year, end of decade thing, and I realized that, I have accomplished a lot, but there's a lot more that I want to accomplish as well. So I kind of just try and go through life setting a good example for my kids and for my friends and family and colleagues. And I have a lot of really cool ideas, and I just, try my best to execute them and continue to propel myself through life.
I love it. Perfect timing with Stephanie too. Maria Mae Jeancola does it all. I gotta say, the one thing I think that's the most impressive, especially that, you have children, you're running a business, and you haven't let that one area of your life go that most people let go, which is their physical appearance, and making sure that you keep, health and wellness at the forefront. How do you balance it all? There's got to be some success secret. Maybe there's a hack that you could share with everyone. But how do you balance it all?
There's not. There's no secret. There's no hack. There's no, people are like, oh man, what do you do? How do you look like that? Is it genetics? It's not. I actually lost 86 pounds. I have
Amazing.
had a lot of health issues in the last 10 plus years. Just in my shoulders alone, I've had 3 shoulder surgeries in the last 4 years. I have 13 screws between the 2 of them. Yeah. There's a lot of challenges. I would say that the hack, the secret, the trick is just stop making excuses. It's, sometimes I kind of feel like I'm sort of being a jerk when people are like, well, I don't have the time and I'm like, listen, I don't want to hear it. There's time. We all have time. You just have to make it, and it's very, very hard to balance everything. I still have a very hard time with it. While on the surface, it might look like, oh, she's got it all figured out. Yeah, she does this and she does that. Like half the time my brain is kind of like, but I prioritize. I'm getting better with time management, and you just kind of have to set your goals, and you just have to do it. I mean, there's no trick to it.
I love it. And it's funny because, everyone's got this whole, it's the new year and now I'm going to stop doing X, Y, and Z. Why the hell didn't people stop doing X, Y, and Z? Now, again, guys, this isn't me pointing it out to you. Like, I've been stuffing my face. I'm about 15 pounds heavier than I'm supposed to be. So I'm looking at it like, why the hell didn't I stop eating? So now this next year, I'm like, okay, I got a specific regimen I'm going to follow. And it's like, I think it's all about commitment. It really is all about what you focus on is going to expand. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. For you, Marie, I mean, what were some, of course, with 2019 being over, which, by the way, Happy New Year, everyone, if I didn't already tell you that. But with 2019,
with the beautiful weather we have outside.
Yes, I know, of course. I mean, some people are very fortunate that are watching here and not in Ohio, but we have nice cold weather here, and we just got like probably our second snow of the year. But
that whole moving back from San Diego after 7 years thing maybe wasn't my best decision.
That'd be rough. That'd be rough to say the least. With you actually now, getting into 2020, and for me, I mean, I've had a lot of takeaways from this year, but what would you say is probably one of the biggest lessons that you learned through the year?
Through this year. This is kind of a funny one, ironically, because it is December 31st. And my biggest lesson is one that I'm fighting with today. It's to stop procrastinating. Procrastination, what's that meme? It's like procrastinators unite tomorrow. That's kind of, for me, procrastination is something that I've used as a tool, which I know sounds kind of crazy, but I work very well under pressure. I work very well when I'm put on the spot. I work very well with deadlines. So for me, it's not, I don't want to do that, or, this isn't important. It's, I know I'm going to get that done if I just like wait until it like needs to be done. And so I need to stop doing that. I need to focus more on the planning. I give all of these, talks and presentations and things like that, workshops. The book that I'm writing, has a whole chapter about time management and prioritizing things. And something that I kind of modified from Dave Ramsey. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
Financial guru. That's kind of my life mottos from him. Live and give like no one else now, so you can live and give like no one else later. I've learned a lot from him over the years. But, he does something called the debt snowball. And one of the things that I kind of adapted and taught, teach people through networking and business development is the time management snowball. I tell people to write down every single thing that you have on your to-do list. Because let's face it, we could probably fill a notebook full of things, right? And to write next to it, the minutes that you estimate that it's going to take, and always overestimate, and then order your list by smallest to largest, and just take a few hours and just start knocking out those little things, the things that are going to take 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden you have 15 things off your to-do list and you have more time to get the bigger projects done. I actually just did that this morning. So, it's things like that. It's definitely procrastination, time management, and really just learning how to set a plan and set your goal and really kind of, implement it, because we all have a lot of really good ideas. We want to start that workout, and we want to start that business, and we want to, increase our revenue in our existing business. But until you put that plan into action, it's not going to go anywhere.
So true. And it's funny because a lot of what you were saying is just, it definitely resonates with me, because I know that I am always, I want to set a goal for a certain day or a time, and then I'll wait until the last second. I do operate very well under pressure, but also at the same time, I tend to bite off more than I can chew. And I would rather, and Gary Vee says it best. I would rather, and I don't know if this was just him who said it, but I'd rather choke on greatness than easily swallow mediocrity.
Yeah.
I think I may have modified that a little bit. But my point being is that I want to be able to take on a lot of things, but at the same time, the things that I do take on, I really want to make sure it's in alignment with who I want to be, what I want to be, and where I want to be. I use, the three W's. And I also look at a lot of times what ends up happening is that, especially with it being going into the new year, I mean, a lot of us will underestimate what we'll do in a decade and we overestimate what we do in 1 year. And it's funny because a lot of these goals that we set for ourselves are not always they're not always necessarily in alignment with what we want. And my big takeaway for this year for me was even if you provide the most amazing, even if you provide and you have the most amazing company, there are still areas in that company that where you might have the best possible people, and then you find that there are people that are just not in the role they're supposed to be
Right.
in. And they're actually way better suited for other roles. We just actually started implementing all of our upper level management takes Colby Type A. I don't know if you ever heard of Colby Type A tests by any chance. So the cool thing about Colby Type A, there's all these different tests out there that say this is your personality, this is your DISC assessment, which
Take notes during our podcast.
Absolutely. But so the Colby, it's spelled Kolbe. And
spelled it right. Look at that. There we go.
I love it. Yep. Type A. And the way that it works is that it will actually, so we all have a certain amount of energy every single day. Every single one of us has a certain level of energy that we bring. And of course, there are certain things that are going to energize you. And then there are things that are going to absolutely just exhaust you. For me, it's usually creative. Creative exhausts me. I'm working on getting better with creative, but I realized that bringing on my wife to do my content was one of the biggest game changers because she was helping me with my creative, where me actually being able to sit down and come up with a plan, like that stuff energizes me. Or looking up data and in info gathering to try to solve a problem, that energizes
me. I'm the opposite.
Really? Oh, that's awesome. See?
100%.
Well, and the lessons that I learned this year, I just had some people that were either the seats were non-existent or they just weren't there, and I was trusting in these people so much that I wasn't inspecting what I expected. So instead, I would just kind of let them do their thing. I gave them that full autonomy, but I realized in the long run that I also needed to go in there and I needed to evaluate and assess what it is that they were doing and really just make sure that they were the right people for the seats. So that was probably my biggest takeaway. And then, of course, I think the other one, too, is falling in love with your clients and customers and making sure that you do everything in your power because you can have the best possible solution and service. But if people don't know, like, and trust you, and you're not out there if you're not out there in the world, people don't see your face, they don't know who you are, it's very difficult for them to make a decision to buy from you. So those were a couple of my takeaways for 2019. 2019 was a year of learning.
Yeah, 100%. And we got to backtrack here because you said I wasn't inspecting what I expected. Did I write that down right?
You did. You did. Yeah.
Did you? I wasn't from something.
No, that was from something, but I didn't inspect. Basically, a great example. I had. And I've had times where this has happened where like we've had people that they'll do an amazing job on a project and, the results look great, but I just took it at a surface level. I took it for surface level. I didn't go in deeper and say, okay, well, what could we have done a little bit better? How could we have made it better? What could we have tweaked? What could we have modified? And then, of course, making sure that I'm holding the people accountable for those results. But instead, I just look at it because I'm so busy doing so many different things that I'm like, oh, you know what? It's fine.
Something interesting something interesting that the management at Aligned learned this year was, people say, I don't want to be micromanaged. I don't like to be micromanaged. And I mean, that's very true. Most people don't. But the one thing that I've said it and I've heard it, and I've known it, but it really hit me this year, like in the last probably 4 to 6 months, I'd say. Employees and people in general, they crave structure. That's kind of the big word that's sort of, buzzing around management right now is structure. And it's not micromanagement. It's not this big book of rules. It's not, step-by-step to-do lists and checklists and task lists that, you have to do or you're going to get your hand slapped. It's more of, this is what's expected of you. And report this back to me so that I just know that it's done, so that I just know that it's there. And then when something isn't done correctly, then you can kind of identify the holes in things more so than like, gee, why isn't this working? Or why isn't this person working out? Or why didn't that marketing campaign work? Or, and unless you're really kind of managing everything and there's a structure to it, it's just, I don't know, are we allowed to swear on this podcast? A shit show, I mean, it's just.
Oh, yeah, no, I encourage that, by the way. Those are called word enhancers. So, yes.
Italian, so,
Oh, absolutely. Well, and you know what? I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, it is to a point where, and when we bring people in, one of the biggest takeaways I've had is that the way that you bring someone in, you indoctrinate them into whatever it is that you're offering or what you're doing, is the way that they expect the treatment throughout the entire series of everything. So like, you can't bring in.
That's true.
You can't
set that expectation, whether it be high or low, kind of from the beginning, when you bring in a new employer or whatever it is, a new relationship, a new friendship.
Yeah.
I don't care what it is, and you're like, yeah, this is going to be awesome. This is what we're going to do. And then it's like.
Yep. It's applicable for every business. It's applicable because
and I don't think people do it intentionally. I don't think that
no.
I don't think it's like a malicious thing. I don't think that it's, false promises or anything like that. I think that, people, it's kind of, circling back around to what you said at the start of this, people kind of get all gung-ho around the new year about certain things. And if you think about it, like, think of like that time you listened to this really good podcast, or that time you read that really awesome book, or maybe you went to a conference for, work or whatever it might be. And, you heard a motivational speaker, or the new year's coming, or, whatever it is, whatever happens or whatever you hear in your life, it's kind of like something that excites you and sort of, what's the word? Not rejuvenates, but like reinvigorates, something within you to make you want to, change or to take action. I think that's why, again, going back to the structure, just in life and business and networking and whatever it is, where you have to kind of keep those, weekly or monthly or quarterly meetings and, reviews and all those types of things, because all of that keeps, people excited and keeps them engaged and keeps them wanting to kind of move forward. And then, when you're doing things like that, then you can look back, hey, last month we talked about this, and this, where have we gone since then? And people need to do that in their businesses and in their own personal lives too. That's the same thing, like, again, tying it back into fitness and bodybuilding and all of that. It's the accountability of it. We can't all hold ourselves accountable for everything. It's just, it doesn't work.
And I think it's commitments too, and it's more because a lot of times people are like, oh, well, find your why, but that shit's so surface level, because your why isn't, again, yes, it's important to have a why. I'm not just, it's just such a, everyone wants to find your why, but it's more than that. It's more than finding just your why, and a lot of times it takes those external forces outside of your why that get you aligned with your commitments. I mean, for me, for example, it's my wife, it's my business, it's the relationships of the people that I have around me. But it's also for me to know that I want to build something that's going to allow me that, I guess, financial peace. I think that's a book by Dave Ramsey, but it's going to allow you that peace of mind, knowing that you're not necessarily striving just because you have to make the almighty dollar. It's because you love what you do, you're passionate about it, and it's in alignment with who you are and what you believe in. So that's, I mean, you've dropped some gold here for sure. So as far as this year with entrepreneurs going into 2020, you, of course, how many businesses do you have? I mean, I know you have a couple different businesses, if you don't mind sharing.
No.
What are
Technically 3.
Three. Okay. Yeah. I love it. So you have Aligned Health, you do some marketing, you do some like lead gen. And then you have Network 52 as well.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
So there's kind of like a method to the madness of it all. A lot of times people are like, chiropractic, medical field, wellness, okay. Life and health insurance, okay.
Oh, well, yep.
Business development and networking, I don't really get it. So backtrack. So I went to college for television broadcasting. I wanted to do that my entire life. 5th grade, 6th grade, I was 100% like set, like Sunday mornings after like family breakfast or brunch, we used to, I used to like have people sit on the couch. My dad would sit on the couch, whoever was over, and like I would grab a newspaper and sit in front of the coffee table and act like I was like reading like at a news desk. And I mean, I knew that's what I wanted to be. Clearly I'm very shy. I'm very nervous on camera. It's, just kidding.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't pick up on that at all, but
just kidding. Oh boy. No. So, that was what I wanted to do. I went to University of Toledo. That's where I applied. That's where I got accepted. I was so excited. Got to college and I was like, what's this? It was awful. It was terrible. There's a lot people don't know because they didn't know me back then, or I'm just meeting people now and they're like, wow, look at this woman. Like she's got all her shit together. Well, I didn't for a long time. I dropped out of college, and I told my parents that I was leaving college. Most parents would be like, "No, stay in, do it." Mine were like, "What took you so long? That was the most expensive year for you to figure out what you wanted to do." Like
expensive lesson.
Yeah, but they let me do it. That's one thing about my family and my parents. They would let me fail, and they let me fail. I feel like because they know how stubborn I am, and they know how well I learn from my lessons. I'd like to say I don't make the same mistake twice. I do. But I do learn from, I definitely do learn from it. Hey, I always say I'll try anything twice. So,
right.
Never know.
Right.
But, I left there and, I just was not in a good place in my life. I was 19 years old. I was hanging with the wrong crowd of people. It's sometimes a wonder that I wasn't in jail or dead or who knows, like what would have happened. I mean, there were some pretty wild times in my life there for like a year or two. And at 19, I found myself living in an apartment in Westlake with one of my best friends who also kind of dropped out of college with me, and we had all these big goals and hopes and dreams, but really we weren't going anywhere in life. And I'm 19 years old, single mom. On the way, I just found out I was pregnant and was like, all right, what are you going to do now? And it was like in that moment, I'll never forget it. I was standing in my doorway of my apartment, like standing there holding a pregnancy test. And I'm just like kind of looking around, and it sounds really cheesy, so just bear with me for a second. I like felt like I heard this, voice, and people were like, oh, your voice is in your head. I'm like, no, I heard like myself tell myself something. And it was just like, you have to change your life. Like this baby, this change, this, change in your life, this little girl is kind of what's going to save you. And my oldest, her name's Nevaeh. It's heaven in reverse. And I always said that, she was my angel. She was an angel sent to save me from whatever hell I was on my way to. And she did. I mean, I started working hard. I mean, I got a job at Red Lobster, but I worked my butt off, and, I made decent money. I was trying to pick up extra shifts and, just trying to save up money and get myself out of the disaster I was in. And she was born, and literally the most amazing thing that could have ever possibly happened to me. I mean, my life 100% revolved around her. And at she was about 6 weeks old, I randomly landed a job working for this internet company in San Diego, and was working from home. It's great. I mean, I'm 21 years old, working from home for this internet company. And while that job, that company, that career was very difficult in a lot of ways, I owe pretty much the success of where I'm at now to everything I learned there. I was there for about 8 years, worked my way up in the company and learned a lot. And again, someone taught me in that company lessons and let me fail and figure things out. And then, when I moved back from San Diego, that's kind of when it all started. I was like, all right, like, let's go. So it was about 6 years ago when I finally said, I'm just going to do all of this for myself. And I just kind of quit making the excuses and got the opportunity to go into business with Dr. Nick Bigrig, who is an old friend from high school. He had just began formed the process and started Aligned Health Center, and gave me an offer I couldn't refuse. And here we are 5 years and 2 clinics later. And in that process, I decided to start a networking group because I was going to like 27 different networking groups a month, and it was ridiculous. And yeah, it was crazy. And I was like, everyone kept telling me like, you could do this yourself. Well, what's the number one problem with people with a brick and mortar place of business? It's bringing people in the door. So I started Network 52 and bring somewhere between 25, 30, 40, sometimes 50 people a week into our Thursday noon meeting. It's free. We meet at the Aligned Health Center offices every Thursday. And we do evening events. I try and do them once a month. It's been really hard in 2019 just because I've been so busy. Quarterly, it's always at House of Blues in the Foundation Room. It's an incredible event. I think you and Stephanie came to one, didn't you?
Yeah.
You guys came to one of
Yeah,
those?
it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So next one's March 25th. They're fantastic, super fun event. And then again, in that same kind of process, I got into the life insurance world and life and health and started a brokerage and use that more on the group benefit side to kind of tie into all the businesses that I was networking with. So while they don't really make sense in the beginning, and you kind of, now that you kind of understand sort of where all of this came from and where it evolved from, I have the physical locations of the offices. I network inside of those. I bring business in. It crosses, the leads kind of cross, or the patients, the clients, and then same with the insurance side of things. I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting in somebody's dining room and selling them life insurance, and then they tell me, oh well, I take whatever gabapentin for my nerve pain because my leg goes numb, and I'm like, maybe that's a spinal issue. And then next thing you know, they come in and they're an Aligned Health Center patient, and then they're like, well, I don't have health insurance. And I'm like, well, hang on, let me, and it's just
right.
just keeps going. So yeah,
wow,
figure it all out.
Well, and it's so funny because when you were talking about networking, and the more that I think about it, and that was actually my 2018 biggest takeaway. I used to, I have an inside sales company. That's literally my main focus. And I'm going to, you've heard it here first, everybody. I am going to start doing deals this year. So I am going to start doing some marketing for myself for real estate, running ads. I've been doing it for the inside sales company, but I figured I'm going to do some as well on my end, just so that I can, because I really do want to help people buy and sell homes. And plus, I feel like when you're actually doing it, and I already have the inside sales representative to make calls for me, it just makes sense. Yeah. So that is going.
In real estate, or is that?
I'm licensed. Yeah, okay. I'm licensed.
Got
so
it.
But it's one of those things where I've had it for 5 years. I haven't used it. But the lesson of 2018, last year's lesson, was networking groups, and not necessarily just to join a bunch of different networking groups, but find one that you feel like is for you, where you feel like it's in alignment with your goals and where you want to be. And I started traveling more than anything to get into different coaching events, go to different locations.
A couple things this year.
Yes, I think we went to 4 places this year. So we went to. And we also traveled abroad, out of the country too, to visit some of our guys that work for us. But that was probably the biggest takeaway, was knowing that I needed to get out of my space and get out of just this, this office, even though it's very comfortable and it's nice and it's warm, but you got to move, you got to get out of that comfort. Yeah. And when you meet people face to face, it's so much easier for them to see, okay, you're a real live person. You're a good person. I want to work, I want to do business with you, opposed to when, people see a brand or an image online, or they maybe just see something like an advertisement. If they don't know you, like you, or trust you, the likelihood of doing business is slim.
Well, that's one of the things. That's one of the things that I teach in my intentional networking presentation is, how to network at an event and things like that. But it's definitely like there's a section that I talk about where I tell people to continue networking with the same people and in the same groups that you have done business with before. And too many people are like, oh yeah, I got all my leads from that group, and there's not really anyone else there that I can do business with. And I'm like, wait a minute, back up. Did you just say that group or that event or that whatever it was, right, that meeting, that you got like a ton of business out of? Yeah, it was great. And you're telling me that you're not going to get any more business out? No, those people all, they already have this, or they bought that, or they already sent me everyone that they know. And I'm like, let me tell you a little fun fact here. It's 2 people that network off the top of their head, and their mental Rolodex, as I call it, 250 people off the top of their head that they can refer you to or network you to. They have, the contacts in their phone for, or emails for, or business cards for, whatever it is.
Sure.
250. So put yourself at a networking event with only 10 people. Let's do like, I'm not really great at math, but I'm pretty sure that's 2,500 connections, right? So then, and then it just continues to go, you know? And then the other thing is too, all 250 people that those 250 people know, or 10 people know 250 more. So it just continues to spiderweb out. You said something when I was like, what's the link? Let me post it. You know, I call it spiderweb networking. The spiderweb.
I call it the whip effect. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. And, you know, it's kind of like, it's the same thing. And so I always tell people to continue going to events, even the big ones, you know, like there's some really great ones around here. Power of More always has some really great events in the Cleveland area. There's a lot. Network After Work. I mean, there's the BNIs, the AM Spirits, the NTI. I mean, there's just so many of them out there. You know, continue going to those because people are more likely to trust a familiar face. And so while you might not have networked with all of those people, or you might not have even met them or exchanged business cards or contact information, they've seen you there and they've seen you, you know, talking to other people, or, you know, somebody gives you that big hug and like, you kind of look over like, oh, that person, oh, thank you so much for that business that you gave me, whatever. You hear that, you know? And so that's why, you know, again, going back to my whole like life motto thing. And I, like I said, I end every Network 52 meeting with live and give like no one else now, so you can live and give like no one else later. I cannot tell you how many people come to me, referrals, you know, word of mouth, whatever it might be. And by the time they get to me, I'll hear like, oh my gosh, so-and-so said that I just had to meet you, that I just had to come to Aligned Health Center, that I just had to talk to you about Network 52, whatever it is. And that's because I know that I've continued to, you know, build these good relationships and put good things out there and build this good, you know, name or reputation for myself because it's true and it's honest, you know? And that's kind of what you just have to do. I mean, and when it comes to networking, people think that it's such a task. And I'm like, it's not. You're doing it wrong. If you're not having fun when you're networking, you're doing it wrong. Right. End of story. That's the one thing that we all talk about and have in common, like as human beings, is the socialization aspect, is talking and the human interaction. I mean, that's what we all do. So literally a networking event is no different than like sitting up at, you know, the local pub for trivia night and like talking to the stranger next to you at the bar, which I will network in those types of situations too, just saying.
No, and that's, oh my God, yeah, the best business is done, I believe, over drinks. So, I mean, and that's not just because I really like to drink. It's just, that's how I believe it goes. But it's funny because I actually saw a family member. I didn't even tell you this. When I was at your Network 52, the one that you actually had at your Aligned Health location.
That was the Bliss kickoff party, I think, for Yale's event. Yeah.
Yes. So there was a family member that I actually saw that I haven't seen in years. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? Like, we started talking, like, and then we reconnected. It was so funny because, and it wasn't even that. I also met Mark, who was another guy too that was super high level. He's like I think he does like business consulting where he goes in and he'll help like consult on businesses. I actually sat down with him and we talked about, you know, business, and he looked at my model, and I mean, just super nice guy. He's like, he's there to give. It's not even.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is that a lot of the times these are people that we would never, like, you would see someone out in the street and you'd be like, well, you know, I mean, there's an age gap. There's just a difference in terms of like, I might not, maybe I wouldn't talk with him. Maybe I would never get to meet him. But because of the networking group, we all are like-minded individuals, but sometimes we get into this whole rut of, okay, well, I need to stay in my place and stay in my lane and just focus on a couple things, but you know, the business will come. And I think you have to do just so much more than that. I mean, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't. Yeah, you've got to get out. You've got to increase your network is your net worth. That's, you know, and as corny as that sounds, it's so true.
So true. That is definitely a true statement. I mean, you know, I'm not going to, you know, share exact statistics or data or anything, but it's something I've been working on over this holiday break because the Aligned offices were closed for about a week, which was nice.
So was ours, yeah.
Get some things done. Yeah, it's rough. I feel bad. I have like so many patients like texting and calling, like, "Are you not open?" I'm like, "We told you guys. I'm so sorry." You know, my coach, Big Mike, my bodybuilding coach, I was training with him yesterday. It was my first real workout in 7 months yesterday. I just started prep for spring shows, so
that's awesome.
Yeah, but you know, it was nice to have the time off because I started working on basically marketing ROI data and started, I track obviously where all of my patients, come from, where all of my insurance leads come from, where everything comes from. And
Yep.
it's really pretty cool because every time I do this, it's always, from the networking, word of mouth is always the number one source. And I'm like, damn, like we did
Crazy.
it. Like we did it. That was the plan, so it worked.
And that's really where the most of your profit comes in. I mean, I just started. I actually have a coach. His name is Big Marv. He is probably the most unconventional individual. You would like look at him and be like, he's a coach, but the guy is brilliant with Facebook. I mean, he knows Facebook marketing inside and out.
Awesome.
And I went through all of the big name guru coaches, but this guy I've gotten the most out of in terms of, because it's more of a set it up where we go in, he'll show me everything, and then he'll explain to me why he's looking at certain analytics. And I'm excited because I finally just got one of my first, like I've created leads before, but they were mostly through the people saw me, then they saw my podcast, then they met me once in person, and then all of a sudden the lead that was created through Facebook was, oh yeah, that guy has a business. I was supposed to meet up with him, so they click it, which is great. I finally got my first cold ones. And that was like, I'm like, now, like that's for 2020, I want to literally be able to, one of the sharpest guys I ever talked to, his name's David Milton. This guy is brilliant with Facebook and social media. And we're talking and I say, hey, what's one thing as a business owner that I should be focused on? He says, when you know that you can turn the knob just a little bit and you could say, okay, I'm going to put another $1,000 right here and it's going to turn into $4,000. That's when you know you've made it. Yeah. That's when you know that everything is working in alignment of where you want to be. And with 2020 coming up, I wanted to ask you as a business owner, and what do you think are some of the biggest obstacles that business owners face now, in your opinion, especially going into all this new technology and new things that are out there?
Yeah. So I could probably think of a few different things. One is definitely the saturated markets, I guess I'll say.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So we'll talk about Facebook ads and Facebook marketing, for example. I'm very, very, very lucky. I don't know if you're watching right now. If you are, Jordan, hey. I work with a guy. His name's Jordan Parker, and he is hands down. I'll say it on record. You can quote it, whatever. Hands down, the absolute best at chiropractic Facebook ads in the country, 100%. I've had the opportunity to work with him. It's been, I want to say it's going on 3 years now. Is it 3? I think it's 3 years. And I was working with him when he was like just kind of starting out. I was just sort of figuring things out. I by no means can take credit for what he has built and the system he's built, but I definitely have been there through a lot of it and, given my ideas and suggestions and feedback. And, for probably 6 months when I first started Facebook ads, I would not let anyone else touch it. I called every single lead myself, every follow-up, everything, set up every automated text campaign. And I mean, just like all that kind of stuff, because I knew there was something to Facebook ads and I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't really want to learn how to do it because I'm the type of person where like, if I decide I'm going to learn something, I have got to learn. I've got to be the best at it. I'm not, and it consumes me. That's why I have to, as much as I love like direct sales and multi-level marketing, and you can make such a great living at it. I did that. That was my interim before, after San Diego and between aligned, I was in direct sales and I made great money and loved it, but it consumes my life because I just got to keep going, got to keep building, got to keep growing. But that's what Facebook ads have done for us. Both on the insurance and chiropractic, regenerative medicine side is like, people don't realize if you find the right person that has that niche market and they know exactly what they're doing and how to produce these leads, like they can just be amazing, absolutely crazy. And so when it comes back to a challenge, you go to all these networking groups and you have all these, flyers and ads and direct mailers, all these things that come out to you, people telling you that they're the best at everything. It's hard. It's really hard to weed through all of that and find somebody. My best recommendation when it comes to, should I use a business coach? Should I use a bookkeeper? Should I use somebody for marketing? Should I use somebody for web design? Whatever it might be, start networking and find someone that other people recommend and that other people have used, and that it's not just somebody you found on Google or somebody, that walked into your office and said, hey, I can do this. Really go for somebody that can be backed up by other people's experiences.
So true. And I got to tell you something, and I just saw a name on here and my jaw dropped a little bit. So, that's watching.
Can I see who's watching?
Kenny Lofton of the Cleveland Indians. Yeah. Oh, so you know Kenny. That's okay.
I don't know Kenny, but I love Kenny. Kenny Lofton's like my all-time favorite Indians player. And I don't remember when it was, but like for some reason, somehow we became Facebook friends. And I was like, this is the best day of my life.
I know. Same here. And it's funny. I mean, man, that guy, I wonder if he still can run that way. If he is because
like superhuman, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I've never seen anyone move that fast.
That's so funny.
Well, Kenny Lofton, hello. All of our other, I believe we have 11 or 12 viewers. By the way, shout out to Kristen Braddock, who is generally on here with me. It is her birthday today. So happy birthday, Kristen. It's funny because, and again, I so appreciate you jumping on because I know it was New Year's Eve and I'm thinking, I want to get one more in before the end of the year. And normally we have it every Wednesday. She already had some things planned out. She wasn't able to jump on, but
this is great.
Yes, but no. And I think we got a lot of, I think there's so many things there's so many different takeaways for just even myself. And it was funny because I was writing down the one thing when you said saturated marketing, I was like, that's really, it's so true because there's a lot of people out there where people don't go on Facebook and say, okay, I'm going to look for a company that I want to do business with. No, they go to connect with family and friends. So, I mean, if you're going to get into their feed, you better be disruptive. And
that's the thing. So like one of the very first things that you talked about, you said, I don't know how you keep this all together and, keep this image and things like that. Like, I don't, I love meme like references when people say like, it's funny who you portray to be on social media. Like we know you in real life. Well, like am the like the opposite of that one. It's kind of like what you see is what you get, I mean, I don't portray this person or this persona or this whatever that I'm not. And, that's what's really important when it comes to trying to, like you were saying, getting out there and actually meeting people. It's hard for me to do that because my time is really limited. So it's things like this, it's opportunities like this. So, I mean, I thank you for, giving me this opportunity. For anybody that maybe has never got to meet me or do business with me, or, maybe follows me on social media, but doesn't really know a lot about me. They can watch something like this and say, wow, like that's a real person. That's somebody who genuinely wants to help or, might be able to help me. You have to just be just true to yourself and don't try and put on some kind of, persona of like who you are, if that's not really who you are, because then when people start to really work with you or get to know you or do business with you, they're kind of like, oh, that person was a little fake,
Yeah.
So,
I used to, and it's so funny because Stephanie would always call me out on it, and I'd be like, I didn't do that, and she'd say, oh, she goes, you used your oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. The reporter, use your reporter voice, like like I'm reporting to you live. Like I would have like this like ridiculous voice that I come up with, and she's like, you jackass, voice, so, like stop it.
Okay.
But no, it's funny because now I look back and I go, oh my God, she was so right. Because I'd watch those videos. I go, that's not me. I don't talk that way. So you have to walk the walk.
It's okay. I mean, when you need to kind of pump up the volume.
Oh yeah.
Trying to, but I mean, a situation like this, I feel like you and I are just like sitting here and like, John DeFranco's living room after a board meeting talking, I mean, that's kind of, that's sort of how you have to, how you have to kind of just be.
And you have to, I think the biggest takeaway too for 2019 for me, going back and then kind of looking at some challenges that business owners have, and then we'll wrap things up. By the way, guys, I put Maria's website across the screen. So if you want to get a hold of her for, can we talk about, you're also getting into the medicinal market? Are we allowed to talk?
Absolutely. I'd love to talk about the line. I mean,
because I know
as much time as you need. I don't know how long people want to listen or how long you want to talk, but I can tell you about anything.
Well, so medicinal marijuana is going to, I mean, obviously it is legal in Ohio now, and I believe it's going, I mean, I think it's on the ballot to be legalized, but I know that if someone wanted to reach out to you for that if they were to, because I think that people have trouble finding the resources here in Ohio. I don't even know if there's a lot of resources out there yet.
Yeah. So, well, it's okay. So,
yeah, I know. I just brought up a huge thing.
It's like probably one of my, one of the things that I'm most passionate in talking about. Networking is definitely a big one. Aligned Health Center in itself, but green medicine at Aligned Health Center is the business. So we do have our certificate to recommend. Our Chief Medical Officer of Aligned Health Center, Dr. John Prente, he's a DO and has his certificate to recommend for medical marijuana. There are less than 600 doctors still in the state of Ohio that have their CTR. So there's really not a ton of them out there. And it's not really for a bad reason. I think in Ohio, it didn't really take off the way people thought that it was going to. But I mean, let's face it, it's Ohio. It's a very, I don't want to use the word conservative because of the meaning of it, but you know what I mean, conservative in terms of, you know, people not wanting to try something new. I mean, Ohio's pretty set in their ways. So if you have one of, I'm like, do I have the science over here? Oh, can I like hold it up? 21 qualifying medical conditions in the state of Ohio. Some of the biggest ones are chronic pain, PTSD, fibromyalgia. I could go on and on. I mean, I'm like, just go to the website and like, you know, if you go to ahcgreenmedicine.com or just alignedhealthcenters.com, it's all on there. It's pretty simple. It's $250 with us. You don't come in for your appointment until we have pre-approved your qualifying medical condition and gotten your new patient intake and things like that. We don't want people coming in here and, you know, spending money and wasting their time and money without knowing that they're going to be approved. You know, I have been involved in the cannabis industry for quite a few years. I had the opportunity to work with Legalize Ohio 2016 and OTEP, the Ohioans to End Prohibition. I was the Lorain County manager for Legalize Ohio 2016 and wish that I could have done more, but I feel like I did get to help, you know, ran volunteer meetings and, you know, went door to door with, clipboards and getting people's signatures to get on the ballot. And it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to initially. But finally it, you know, did come through, which is nice. It will be hopefully recreationally legal in the next couple of years. But yeah, I mean, medical marijuana is very much legal in Ohio. I'm open about it. I'm a patient. I have people in my family that are patients. You know, it's something that I personally have found to be very helpful for a lot of different things. Unfortunately, things like anxiety and, you know, ADHD and autism are not yet qualifying medical conditions, but, you know, it does help with a lot of that. So there's dispensaries all over. There's actually a grand opening of one today in Lakewood, Rise Dispensary. Yeah. There's one in Lorain right down the street from my house. They're everywhere. They're in Cleveland. They're all over the place. There's, I want to say 58 dispensaries open now in Ohio.
Wow. So, yeah. Well, Kristen brought up a good point too. Ohio has a huge opioid epidemic. Green medicine is the future of pain management. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the touchy subject because not in a bad way.
I know, I get it.
Because it's, I can't use opioids, not for an addiction reason, but because I had some genetic testing done and found out that my body metabolizes opioids at a faster rate than effects of them. So I get all the nasty side effects, but I don't get the pain relief. So I've had a lot of different surgeries. I've used cannabis for the pain relief. It's just what works for me. But on the opioid side of things, yeah, it really upsets me that that opioid addiction was tabled by the board like so adamantly the last two times it was when it was brought to them. So I'll be excited to see when that changes because it's definitely something that's really going to change a lot of people's lives, I think, for the better. So
I love it. One thing two more real quick things, and then I'll let everybody get on to their celebrations. We had a ton of viewers today, so I'm really thankful. Everyone that tuned in, hope you guys got a ton of value. The one thing that
we'll post this, I'm assuming, live to share.
Oh yeah.
Post it.
Okay, so cool. It's going live on Facebook right now. See, so this so I use Be Live. Be Live is pretty cool, but I'm actually looking at StreamYard because StreamYard you can actually stream onto YouTube and other platforms at the same time, and it's a little easier as far as the interface
like goes. But for like live platforms.
Yes, but Hootsuite just, and I mean, I have to put
Tell
this
me it
out
like
there as
went
a
away or
disclaimer.
something.
No.
Oh.
Hootsuite. So Hootsuite is great for automation. Hootsuite, though, one of the things I noticed is when I used it, my engagement went like dropped to the floor.
Really?
Yeah. So, and again, I mean, I don't know if I mean, I know I use it a lot for automation in the past, but
I've looked at it. I've never really actually used it.
oh, okay. So yeah, don't. Yeah, it is great for cutting.
Oh.
It is. Yeah, I wanted to make sure that like I'm like, okay, if you have someone that you're using that for, I won't tell you, how to do that. But yeah, that's one thing I've actually had a couple Facebook coaches. I was using it for a while, and I'm like, why is no one liking this? This is like the funniest post ever, and it goes to like that side panel of death. Yeah, I'm like, this is a great post. Why doesn't someone like it? And we all have that. I mean, we're all like, how many likes did we get? So that's how that goes. But the one thing I wanted to leave everyone with, really the big point is, so I was at a party, this was a couple weeks ago, and I overheard one of the gentlemen saying, yeah, I'm done. He was talking about referencing his business because of the way that it was evolving and changing so much. So my advice to everybody going into 2020 is, number one, wrap your mind around automation because it's here. We just put a huge automated piece into our business, and we're constantly altering it and trying to make it better, because we know that in order to, there are certain tasks that you can have someone do, but you need someone to oversee those tasks, but the machine's going to be able to do them all. And then you have somebody that just oversees. You increase the capacity of that person, because a lot of times people think automation is going to take away the jobs, but really
no, it helps people so much. Back to the structure.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. There's a platform I want to share with you. I'll send you some information about it. I mean, I can tell you what it is, and if anybody else is listening, it's called High Level. I don't know if you've heard of it yet. I learned about it through Jordan. I want to say the guy's name is Jason. I think his name's Jason, the owner of it, the creator of it. But it is an incredible automated marketing platform. And I do know that they have some things built in already for real estate. So I can show it to you. We can maybe do a screen share after this if you got a few minutes, and I can show it to you.
What's it called again?
It's called High Level.
High Level.
HLEV. Yeah, High Level. It's gohighlevel.com, I believe, is the website. I can look over here. But I mean, it's taken our Facebook ads and the way that we do all of our marketing and automated text campaigns and email campaigns. It's taken it to a level that like will just blow your mind.
I love it.
I'll have to show it to you.
Awesome. Well, so before we go, I know we started off with the masquerade ball, which was I think we met like right around that time, because I know we met at the prom do-over, but it was very quick in passing.
Yeah, that was a chaotic event. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we met for the masquerade ball, and now we have the second annual prom do-over. That was awesome. But you know what? The one thing that I look back on now is that it was a lot of your networking that got us so many sponsors. It was your networking. And it's funny because for everyone that's watching, when we be there at a committee meeting, because we're all on the Events for Cause committee, when we'd sit there and someone would be like, oh, we need somebody that has wristbands, or we need someone that can do DJing, or we need someone, and like Maria, you're always like, I know someone. I'm like, how does she know all these people?
Yeah, it's very strange like networking thing I have too, where I remember people like that too. It's kind of bizarre.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's great, and it's because networking is your passion. So I mean, and getting aligning businesses and aligning spines. So that's good. See, nice little drop there.
I like it.
What I wanted to do though for everybody, and I'm just going to actually share. I want to share the link. But if you're in Ohio, or even if you're not in Ohio, but if you're in the, yeah, right. Even if you're not in Ohio, yeah, you can always, they actually do have ways that you can give, but we are, so the event is to fight against, basically breast cancer. It's to help with the research, with the funding. Everyone knows someone who's been affected by breast cancer, unfortunately. And, we're looking for ways to really get that cause recognized, get the funding available so that we can
for some big sponsors too. So
yes. Oh, great.
Hey, it's December 31st. We have the 501c3 and tax deductible letter ready for you guys.
There you go.
I mean, you still got, 11 hours left in the day to get that tax write-off. Even if this is an individual watching and you want to just get something, small over to us, I mean, literally, it could be $100, it could be $10. I don't care. Anything can help. But we are looking for a couple big sponsors still. We've got some big ones kind of in the works right now. But, you are going to get a lot for it, a lot of mentions. I mean, look how we're even just talking about this now. Obviously, if we had a main sponsor right now, we'd be probably dropping the name, all over the place, and even in this podcast. But it's going to be so much fun. I think, how many shares and likes were there on last year? It was like tens of thousands, like within like a couple weeks of it when it first went out. I remember it was before I even realized who was putting it on and all of that. It was, it's a prom do-over event. Like, I'm 30, how old am I? Oh gosh, 34? 34. I do that all the time. So this was like a full-blown, like late 90s, early 2000s style prom event. I mean, we had everything from the DJ, the dance floor, the buffet, different, multiple bars, photographers. I mean, it's like the coolest event ever. And everyone was dressed like it was prom. It was so cool.
It was awesome.
So it's for a great cause. It's going to be so much fun. I don't know if you said the date, February 15th.
Yep, February 15th. Thank you. Yes. So February 15th, tickets are, I believe it's $150 per couple. It's all you can drink. I have to put that out there. It's all you can drink. So it's an open bar. So, even if you have a few drinks, I mean, per person, you're going to end up, if you go to a nice bar downtown, you end up spending that.
I mean, that's your ticket to the event. There's raffles and, gift basket raffles. And what was the other? A buffet. Obviously, you're getting fed dinner. I mean, Don just announced what the menu was. I mean, it's an awesome menu. I mean, it's not like you're having like pizza and beer. I mean, this is a really upscale, nice event.
It's like a wedding, and it was funny because I was telling Don about this. It's like a wedding for like when you go to weddings, you're like, man, like I got to give this money to these guys. I haven't talked to them in years. Like, why am I, and I mean, that's just, sometimes I feel that way. But at the same time, I'm looking at it like, okay, well, I actually get to have fun here. It's like a wedding, but I get to have a ton of fun, and it's prom. So, I mean, if you didn't go to your prom, and they did a really amazing job of replicating the experience, because I didn't go to my first prom.
So my prom was like a disaster. So my date got sent home like moments after we got there because he took it upon himself to drink in the limo, which, I mean, let's face it, we all did. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you're watching, sorry, Mom. But, it's like he tripped over the principal's foot when we walked in, and I had to go into the office and call his mom and tell him that he had been drinking to come get him. So I didn't have a prom date.
Oh, man.
My prom picture is me standing there with my friends, like.
Wow, that sucks. I get it. So it meant a lot for you.
Last prom one, I went to without a date too, and so I took the same picture. Like,
I love it. I love it. Well, it's funny because when we had our prom, I didn't go to my first one. Like I graduated North Royalton 2004. Did you graduate in 04?
03.
03, okay. So I was supposed to graduate in 03, but I got held back. Anyways, it's another story for another day. So anyways, when I was supposed to go to my prom, didn't happen. And I ended up going to Stephanie's prom, which was awesome because, that was one thing.
We've been together that long?
Oh yeah, we've been together forever. It's been 15 years. Yeah, 15 years. So yeah, and then we've been married since 2011, so 8 years. So going on 9. So yeah, I mean, but it's funny because I went to her prom and I got to experience that. But it was just so cool when just having an event like that. It was better than the prom. It was like basically being at the prom, but with more money, having better decision-making skills, and being a full-grown adult, knowing like, even though you're there, like you still get to relive that experience. Right. And I mean, yeah, it was amazing. So that was a lot of fun. And it goes to support a great cause. I think that's really the biggest thing too, is that it supports a great cause, and there was just great people involved. And that's how I met all you guys.
Yeah, so exactly. Same here.
Without that, I wouldn't. So, well, Marie, thank you so much, Maria, for jumping on. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to everyone that's watching. And I hope that everybody got a lot of value out of this. And guys, for the prom do-over, Stephanie had put in the comments here, but I also put in the Facebook event, but it's eventsforacause.ticketleap.com. second prom. It is in the comments because that is not an easy domain to remember.
Right.
And I
wonder if we can do like a masked link for it. We probably can. Thought about that.
I want to help with that domain one way or the other. I actually did assist with getting the ads up. Donnie did a great job with putting some ads out there and got some people, but I wanted to make that domain easy to remember. Just something that would be simple so that somebody could just go to there and just buy their tickets. But
yeah, I'll look at that. I feel like we need to talk after this. I'm like writing down notes of things we need to talk about.
Awesome. Well, it is all in the comments, guys. So again, I wish you all a very happy new year. I hope that 2020 is the best year for you in your business. And of course, thank you for tuning in today. And we will see you guys next week.
Thank you.